And Dajjal is found in every tradition. He's found in the Bible, just like the myth, the Noah, the flood. It's even the native Indians knew about it. It's in their tradition that there is some type of flood. So the myth of the flood is found pretty much everywhere, right? The myth of Dajjal is found in many traditions, and there is two types of Dajjal. This Masih is used twice. The first time is for Isa, the Messiah, and the second one is for Dajjal. So the truthful Messiah is Isa, and the false Messiah is Dajjal, like the Christ and the Antichrist, right? Christ and Antichrist. And Messiah means the anointed one. So back then, when a king would get anointed, you would take him to a river, you would put hot oil, and you would wash him, and that's called the anointed one. Bani Israel, when a prophet comes out, they would take him to a river and they would anoint him with water. That's why you get the concept of baptism. That's how you get it. Now, who's gonna anoint the Dajjal? Obviously, not righteous people, and they will anoint him as a prophet. Now, the word Dajjala means the worst deceive. So Dajjal means deceived. And the Prophet ﷺ said there will be 30 Dajjals after me. Minor Dajjals, not major Dajjal. This Dajjal we're talking about is a major Dajjal. From the beginning of creation till now, there hasn't been any worse test than this. This is the worst test humanity has ever faced. And Dajjal, he will come out in a land called Khurasan. And the city will be called Isfahan. You can actually look up that city. It's modern Iran. And it will be come out from the Yahudi village. So he'll come out from a Bani Israel village. So he's from a background of Bani Israel. Now, what is Yahud doing all the way in Muslim land? Can you ask your question then? Ask yourself that. What is Yahud doing in this land? Look at the first one, conquest of Jerusalem, civil war. In 1945, the majority of the Jewish, they lived in Arab land. Because Jewish and Arab, they always lived close to each other. They always had a good relationship. In 1945, they lived in Iraq, they lived in Yemen, they lived in Morocco. So we don't hate Jewish. We don't like Zionist, yes, but we don't hate Jewish. We do not. And the fact that Jewish, a big village, lives in Muslim land, that shows you that the conquest of Jerusalem came before the civil war. Many scholars say that Mahdi is the one that will conquer Jerusalem. I don't agree with that, because how can you have a civil war when a major civil war, not a minor civil war, when there is an occupier in the middle of it? Does that make any sense? It wouldn't. So Mahdi will not come until after the civil war, right? Some scholars say no, Mahdi will come. He's the one that will conquest Jerusalem, but it wouldn't make any sense. Does not make any sense. How can you have a civil war when there's an occupier in the middle of the civil war? The Ummah does not fight itself unless it reached a higher status. How can there be a civil war when there is foreign invention in the middle of the civil war? Wouldn't make sense. So when you link that to Surah Isra, there will be a group that will conquest Jerusalem. Then generation after generation after generation after generation, the civil war will happen because of the treasure. Then Mahdi will come at a time when there's a civil war. He will not come at a time when there's conquest in the middle of the region. And that's my opinion from analyzing it. It just makes much more sense. Dajjal, he will be born as deformed. He will be from Bani Israel. Now, at his early stage of theory, somebody will provoke him. Somebody will make him so angry to a point where he doesn't know he's a Dajjal. He's a human being. He has no idea he's a Dajjal. Who becomes so angry that power will unleash. He will realize he has some type of power that human doesn't. And that's when the Dajjal comes out. Now, the physical look of the Dajjal, he's going to have crooked legs. He's not going to be able to walk straight, so his legs will be crooked. His right eye will be blind, and it will be a thick piece of flesh, and it will look like a big piece of grapefruit on it. So you can tell his physical look. So his eye will be blind, and it will be filled with thick piece of flesh as big as a grape. His hair will be curly. He will be white skinned. He'll be short. He will not have any children, and he will have a word on top of his head like a birthmark. It will say kafir, and the righteous will see that. He will understand that this person is a kafir. Now, who will follow him? Majority of the Jewish people will follow him. Why are the Jewish people following him? Can anybody answer that?
They're waiting for their Messiah.
They're waiting for their Messiah, and what else? They lost their homeland, right? Now, Surah Isra tells us they will never have a third almighty power. So the majority of the Jewish will follow him because they want their homeland back. Why did the Jewish deny Jesus? Why?
They didn't want to be a king.
Because they didn't want a spiritual prophet. They want a powerful prophet. Okay, spiritual's fine, but they want somebody with authority and power. That's why they deny Jesus. So that's why majority of the Jewish will follow him. The Christian empire, will they follow him? No, not all. Some Christians will recognize this is not Jesus. So the fact that it says majority of the Jewish follows him, that shows you the population of the Jewish is more than the Christian empire. That means majority of the Christian empire will actually not follow him. Yes, Christians will follow him, but not majority of them. And the weak iman of the Muslim will follow him. And then the children of fornication, it means the people who is addicted to this world so much, they will follow him. The people who's really addicted to this world will follow him. Now, facts about Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ said, I know more about his power than he knows about his power. So he has some type of power. The Prophet knows about his power more than he knows his power. He will come to you with two types, punishment and heaven. So he will show you rivers, illusion, rivers of heaven, and he'll show you a burning fire. The Prophet ﷺ said, jump in the fire, it's not going to harm you. This is just an illusion. So he'll come to you and he'll show you either you follow me or I'll punish you. Jump in the punishment, it's not going to harm you. The second thing is he'll be background from Bani Israel, so he will grow up from Bani Israel. The third thing is he will come at a time where there's chaos, bloodshed, hunger, starvation. People would want, he will provide his followers safety and security. So there'll be so many bloodshed, there'll be so many hunger that people will follow him. He will command the sky to rain and it will rain by the permission of Allah. He will distribute food and bread. He will distribute it. First, he'll say, I'm a prophet, I'm a Messiah. Then he will upgrade himself and he will say, I am your Lord. Even though his crooked legs is a sign he's not your Lord. Even though his eye is a sign that he's not your Lord. That's why he's called the Antichrist. He's the false deceiver. And no, you will not see your Maker while you're alive. You will see your Maker when you die. You will never gonna see your Maker. So if anybody says I'm your Maker with some special power, that's not your Maker. You will never see your Maker while you're alive. He will have the shayateen at his command. So he will trick people, deceive people. He will have the shayateen. We did a lecture about the jinns. You can catch up on the link. And he will be fighting in different wars, and he's not going to be successful in every war. So the Dajjal, even though with his power, he's not going to be always successful. He will win some wars and he will lose some wars. And he will appear on a white donkey. Now, why is Dajjal riding a donkey? Can anybody answer that? Why is he riding a donkey? Because if you open the Torah, or even the Bible, it tells you the Messiah will be riding on a donkey. So the followers will tell him, hey, you want more followers? Go get a donkey, ride on him. There you go. You just fulfilled our prophecy. That's why he's riding a donkey. He will be on earth for 40 days, right? 1 day is like a year, 1 day is like a month, 1 day is like a week, and the 37 days are normal days. They asked the Prophet ﷺ, so how shall we pray? He said, estimate it. Now, let this sink in for a little bit. 1 day is like a year. What does that mean? We will not see the sun for a whole year. That means we wouldn't know if it's daytime or nighttime. Why? Again, Armageddon. If you ever watched the show, what would happen if humanity nukes itself? What happened? We will lose sunlight. 1 year, no sunlight. So, is it possible that the Dajjal come out and the world's superpower are threatened, so they began to hit the nuke bombs? It's possible. Or is it possible that the nuclear power bombs happened before he came out? It's possible. But 1 day we will not see sunlight. So people will be starving. People will be hungry. And then 1 day will be like a month. We won't see sunlight for a month. And 1 day for a week, and then the sun will come back to normal days. So this tells us that the Dajjal will not be here for long. Just a small test, but it's a very severe test. He will fight every religion, and he will campaign in every city. Once he reaches Medina, so he will not be able to enter 2 cities in the world. He will enter every city you can think of, even all the way to Brazil, even all the way to South America. 2 cities he will not enter, Medina and Mecca. He will see angels. Once he gets to Medina, he will shake it 3 times to a point where the people in Medina, the righteous, will know to stay firm, don't be scared. The disbeliever and the one that's hiding there, they're saying they're Muslim but they're not Muslim, they will flee because they're afraid, and Medina will become pure. The Muslims will be so exhausted of fighting Dajjal. They know they'll never defeat Dajjal, because who kills the Dajjal? Isa. So the Muslims are so exhausted, but they have to defend themselves. They can't just sit around, they have to defend themselves. Mahdi will rule for 7 years. So part of it maybe was peaceful and good, and the other part would be wars and Armageddon. And our Prophet tells us, how will you be? When he says, how will you be, it means, can you imagine? How will you be when Isa comes down and a man among you will lead the prayer? And this is an honor and a blessed from Allah to our ummah. And when the prayers are called, and the Muslims are just waiting for Isa any time, because they know the hadith, but they don't know when he's coming, but any second Isa will come down. They will be in Damascus praying Fajr, and looking in the sky, they'll see 2 angels holding Jesus on the Jesus, and he will have white minaret, white clothes. And when you see 2 angels with a man, obviously you know who that is. That's Jesus. So they're not going to question who are you. They know who he is. And his hand will be resting on 2 angels. And the Christians and the Yahud the righteous will actually follow Isa. So the Christian and the Jewish, the righteous, they will actually follow Jesus. There will be 2 forces. What are they? The Dajjal force, the force of evil, and the force of righteous. They will fight. So Jesus and his army will fight the Dajjal army, to a point where a lot of the Dajjal army will die, and they will start to hide behind rocks, and the creation of Allah will start to speak, and they will say, hey, he's behind me, come find him. To a point where Dajjal will lose, and he will go to a place called Gate of Lud. You can look it up, that city, Gate of Lud. And when he sees Jesus face to face, he will scream so loud, and he will begin to dissolve like water and salt. He will begin to dissolve slowly, and he will scream so loud. If he was left in that stage, he will die. But Jesus will take the sword and he will kill him.